DonInLondon, hello. May 6th, my video all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour, or both in my case. My addictive substance, alcohol, my behaviour equally addictive around people, places and things. Needing to be with the right people, in the right place, with the right things. That's how life seemed to be. And I couldn't stop drinking, and I couldn't stop obsessing about life being better, or trying to make life better, or get to a place where I could control what was going on. And these days I've realised there is no need to control anything. What I need to do is make good choices based on what is happening today, and not drink. So needs met on a daily basis, wants forgotten. So what's helped me along the way? Family, friends, professionals, who also helped me today. And a fellowship, and that fellowship is Alcoholics Anonymous. I speak a lot about it and share how it works for me, but it works in different ways for different people. Indeed, anyone on the planet is unique and authentic in their life experiences where it is today. So the experience of fellowship is unique and authentic to the individual, and people choose to speak where they will about their recovery and how it works for them. But the most important thing for me, fellowship works because what I see is what I get. The way it's said is WYSIWYG. What I see is what I get. So sometimes people who are in a good place, often people who are sort of in between good and bad. Some people indifferent to the world, and some people hurting so much they don't know what to do. And that was me for a lot of years, not sure what to do. Why didn't I enjoy life? Why didn't I enjoy the careers I had so much as feel I needed to prove myself always, and never felt right? So I feel better today. I feel right with the world as it is, not in control of it, not out of control of myself. Simply knowing I have freedom of choice. And why? Well, AA, 12 steps, the programme, 12 traditions which hold it all together. That's what it's all about for me. So if I'm sober first, the rest of life can happen. So what is AA? I share the AA daily preamble here, so newcomers get an idea of what it's all about. And it's also a gentle reminder for me, every single day, that sober life works. It may not be pleasant always, but it does work, because I know what's happening. I'm living in reality, rather than living in the past, or stuck with the old ideas, and not harking on to the future, where I hope it might be better. Because it won't. All I can do is deal with today, and see how it goes. So why does it work for me? Here's the AA preamble, and then I'll share some readings from the AA literature, and what it means for me. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution. It does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. And it's quite interesting that, because AA is not allied with anything. Yet everybody who goes to AA has alliances of some sort or other, somewhere in the world. And in the UK, this day, we get to find out whether we have a different voting system. It's highly unlikely, but we'll see how we go. But in AA, it's an anarchic democracy. Everybody has their say, and nothing is done at a group level. That's at the meeting level, without some sort of agreement. So there is nobody in control. We work to a conscience called a group conscience, and we develop our own personal conscience and our personal code of behaviour and conduct in our new sober life. Doesn't mean everybody's going to be good at it, and it takes time. So we're all learning, and we try practice forgiveness as we are learning. But we do realise that some people are not for changing, and they don't stick around too long, or they find the programme doesn't work for them. Anyway, May 6th, and May is all about step 5 for me, and it reads, this is the step programme, it reads, admitted to God, to ourselves and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. So step 5 is quite important. It's sharing the good and bad of us from a self-appraisal we did in step 4. And step 4 is what I covered in April, doing a fearless moral inventory, assets and liabilities, a sort of life story which points out what went well for us and what went badly, and where our anger, resentments lie, and what could tip us back into our drinking days, relapse. And then in March it was all about step 3, and it reads exactly, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. So this God word, which seemed to bother me at the beginning, until I realised it was an understanding of a higher power in my life, which was important to me, which I could connect with, and that seemed to be through good conscience and listening to the wisdom of other people. So for me, God became truth, love and wisdom. The absolute truth, not my opinion or not my beliefs. Truth as it is today. Love, how to love people and how to be loved back, unconditionally, not making conditions on other people or trying to have conditions myself put on me. And wisdom, well, wisdom comes from every source around me, but in fellowship I get more wisdom about being sober, so I can get more wisdom about life. And in February it was about, came to believe that a power greater than me could restore me to sanity, or power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. So that power greater than us is something that we refer to quite often. What is the higher power telling me today? Or what is my conscience telling me today? Move to one side of my beliefs and opinions and try and find out what the truth is, and see how it stacks up with what I understand. And the first and foremost step is, as it says, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives have become unmanageable. And that's something around acceptance. I could admit it, and then I have to accept it. So it's a two-stage process. And I think it's a two-stage process every day for me. So I always say to myself, yes, I am powerless over alcohol, people, places and things. And if I think I can control it all, life will get unmanageable, because as I try control, it makes me a prisoner again of my own ideas of what life should be, rather than what life is. So step 1 is always there with me. Step 2, let go. Step 2, believe that a higher power can help me through conscience, wisdom of others, and being loved. And step 3, let go and let good things happen. Let go and let God be a part of life, or rather join in life where God is, truth, love and wisdom. It may sound balmy to a newcomer, and it sounded really quite weird to me, but when I realised that I was powerless over alcohol, life was unmanageable, that a power greater than me could restore me to sanity, so I could actually start to say, okay, how do I get sober? Let go and let good things happen. Do a fearless moral inventory, which is my life story of ups and downs, and then share it in step 5 this month with another human being. And I did, and I shared it with more than one human being. And these days I know that if I have secrets, they'll keep me stuck, because I'm covering up or hiding my own secrets, that is. But I might know lots of things about other people, but it's their business and it's not for me to share it. It's not about gossip. We know gossip kills in fellowship. So there you go, quite a lot of information there, but I think it's important to cover it again and again, as these videos are taken out of context and out of sequence. So May, all about step 5, admitted to God and another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. And for May 6th in this book, Daily Reflections, as you can see just about, it says hold back nothing. The real tests of the situation are your own willingness to confide and your full confidence in one with whom you share your first accurate self-survey. That's self-survey done in step 4. And there's lots of guidance there on how to do it, not only in the books of AA but across the internet. If you can find a way to unearth what really made us tick and what will make us tick better today. Provided you hold back nothing, your sense of relief will mount from minute to minute as you share. The dammed up emotions of years break out of their confinement and miraculously vanish as soon as they are exposed. As the pain subsides, a healing tranquility takes place. And that can happen if we're really, really honest. Or we can get really, really angry with everything that we feel is still the fault of other people. But the whole process of the steps is about our conduct and how we approach life, our part in it. But if you have great big mountains of hate and anger and resentment about other people, and are not willing to look at your own part in it, and it can be simply, I was there at the wrong time, and could I have changed it? And the answer is probably no. Then we can have forgiveness for ourselves, and at the same time say to ourselves that even though people were doing their worst, it was the best that they could do, given the circumstances. Because why or how would they know better? So the impact might have been dire and horrible for us, but we have to come to terms with the past, or it will keep on choking us up, and we'll never get free of it. It goes on to say, a tiny kernel of locked-in feelings began to unfold when I first attended AA meetings, and self-knowledge then became a learning task for me. Self-knowledge is an onward task always. This new self-understanding brought about a change in my responses to life situations. In other words, I'm not a victim anymore. I might just be in the wrong place at the wrong time, and then my choice is to move out of the wrong place into a better place. I realized I had the right to make choices in my life, and the inner dictatorship of habits slowly lost its grip. It's the old thinking, already thinking, here we go again. It's happening to me. Why me? And the answer is, why not me? Because that's the way life is just right now. And the hardships of life, I mean, if we have a 50-50 balance of average to good, 50%, and horrible, 50%, we get a lot of wisdom from both situations. It tells us how we can respond, make good choices, and how to make life better through our own actions. And sometimes we have to let go of huge amounts of the old life in order to create a new life. But as we let go, we get room for more new stuff. Yes, I realised I had the right to make choices in my life, and the inner dictatorship of habits slowly lost its grip. And don't forget, it's our own habits which often make us prisoners. But I believe that if I seek God, I can find a better way to live, and I ask Him daily to assist me in living a sober life. Excuse me. So, when I ask God, I reflect to good conscience and say to myself, what is the good? What is the good way? What is the good path? When I look at the situation I'm in, how am I feeling? Why? What can I do? So it's not about being right. It's not about opinion or belief. It's about finding the truth of what is. So if I can find the truth of what is, I can deal with life on life's terms, my part in it, and the choices I have. And for me, those choices were very, very harsh, because I was very, very ill because of the alcohol. And then I got sober long enough to get some more illnesses. So life changed dramatically. But not as a consequence of my drinking. Simply, I lived longer to enjoy or to experience other defects of physical stuff. Not defects. They're just diseases that one can get along the way. Human stuff happening to a human being. So I wasn't singled out to be an alcoholic. I was prone to it by genetics, and I was prone to it by nurture, I guess. And it goes back many generations in my family. So I don't need to worry where it came from. I need to be concerned with the positive way to live life today, even though life can be very negative. So that's the way it works for me. May 6th. At the end of my videos, I will share the Serenity Prayer to God, or in good conscience. It's your unique, authentic belief in a higher power which counts. And as I say, mine is truth, love and wisdom. And beyond that, well, life will teach me. Life will teach me. I don't need to force myself into a box that maybe another person prefers to mine. That's just the way it is. Thank goodness fellowship is. It's a broad church where everything is possible. Absolutely everything. Because no one is excluded. We all have our own beliefs, opinions, affiliations, but we are there for one purpose, sobriety, so the rest of life can work. So we don't have to fight each other, we're there to help each other. Yep, it does work for me today. So the serenity prayer to God or good conscience as you come to believe for yourself. Most important, your own understanding. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. For me, in the moment, and just for today. Don in London, hello, it's May 6th, 2009. My video is all about recovery from addiction either to substance or behaviour. My addictive substance, alcohol, my behaviour, trying to be perfect, and never so, striving to be me. And the trouble was, all those years of drinking, I wasn't quite sure who I was, and I was driven by 1,000 forms of fear, and I can say that quite openly these days. I feared letting people down, I feared what people might think of me. It was all about fear. Fear of not being good enough, I guess. And I guess this comes from our background, our understanding of life as best we can, or our misunderstanding about life. The way I was brought up, put on a brave face, don't show your fear, and possibly I used my ego more than anything just to keep a shell round me, to protect myself, just in case I could be wounded. And the trouble was, inside was a very sensitive person who just didn't know how to live and express their opinion properly, or express themselves in a way which was good for them, for myself and for other people. So one of the things I picked up in one of the sayings from Gandhi, he apparently said, an emphatic no is better than a half-hearted yes. And if I'd learned that very early on, maybe I'd have found a better path of living. However, the truth of now is, 35 years later, I'm not drinking a day at a time for some time, just on a daily basis. Life is not too bad. The gift of life, if you like, getting older, we're still prone to all the other things that can go on for anybody who is, I suppose, normal. We have the knocks, the hard times, the good times, and we can pick up other illnesses as we go. It's part of nature and part of providence, and we're not being singled out for the good or the bad of it. It's just random often. So when I got type 1 diabetes after being 2 years sober, and it wasn't a lifestyle issue, or it wasn't caused by my previous lifestyle, it was caused by an infection, a virus, and then no insulin. I don't know what I thought about it at the time. I was glad it was diabetes and not something worse, because I lost a lot of weight and I didn't really understand what was going on. But the gift of that also is that I got access to psychiatric help for clinical depression. And it turned out that my endocrine system, which was probably compromised quite badly by the virus, had probably not been working too well before either. And depression is something that needs professional help often, just to tide us over to a place of tranquility, or at least accepting the good and bad of life. So recovery has its gifts. That is, we get to know what is going on for us, and if we follow medical advice, we have a better chance, as well as me being in the fellowship of AA. And the Fellowship of AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, does keep me on track on a daily basis. And I go to as many meetings as seems appropriate, most days. And at each meeting there's a preamble shared which tells everybody why we're there and what it's all about. So I share it here. And the reason I share it is because it helps me. And I cannot speak for AA. It's full of unique, authentic people who have their own views and outlooks. So my view is my view, and my outlook is my outlook, and I share experience, strength and help of what it does for me and not what others may experience. So we all have our own experiences, and here comes the preamble shared in all the 600 or 700 meetings in London at the beginning. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is the desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution. Does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. And that really helps me slow myself down into the moment of now and realise where am I with my life and how am I feeling. So this morning, how am I feeling? Well, how am I feeling? I feel okay. Changing relationships around me, were partnerships, a partnership becoming a friendship, changes indeed, and to the good of good living. What's different from how I experience life today to how I did in the past? It was all about me in the past, and self-obsession, and wanting to be right, and wanting to make sure I got it perfect. And the answer is we're just simply making progress if we're lucky. And the spiritual connection to now is living in reality and living in this one day. So the nature of some of my relationships have changed. And I also got an email from, I guess, a love from many years ago, and I was very gratified to get it, and also to say yes to forgiveness in all respects around all behaviour, from them to me and mine to theirs. So ironic, really, isn't it, that something happens, we get a sort of confluence of things happening at the same time, and when somebody else asks us for forgiveness, and I didn't really expect it, and I didn't really find it, I didn't know what to think actually, but immediately my immediate response was yes, of course, because we only do what we can do at the time when we're there, and we don't come with an instruction book. And if I don't come with an instruction book, surely other people don't as well. So even when a person may seem to be doing their worst to upset us, they need forgiveness as much as we need forgiveness too. So it's a two-edged thing. You can't hold grudges in life. Well, you can if you want to, but I've found that holding grudges against anybody serves no one, and it serves me least of all. So a lot of good things happened yesterday, and it was about acceptance of how life is today. I'm going to cover the readings, so just need a slurp of coffee, and I'm going for a professional appointment this morning to my psychiatrist. Part of a long-term illness like diabetes means we need to keep an eye on what is going on emotionally or mentally for us, and make sure that we're doing our best, or we're living to the best we can given the conditions we have. So that's all to the good. As Bill sees it, this one, daily reading, I wanted to do it yesterday, but I ran out of time. I'm probably going to do the same today, but we'll see how we go. It says, page 94, in all our affairs. The chief purpose of AA sobriety, yes, the chief purpose of AA is sobriety. We all realise that without sobriety we have nothing. However, it is possible to expand this simple aim into a great deal of nonsense, so far as the individual member is concerned. Sometimes we hear him say, in effect, sobriety is my sole responsibility. After all, I'm a pretty fine chap, except for my drinking. Give me sobriety and I've got it made. As long as our friend clings to this comfortable alibi, he will make little progress with his real-life problems and responsibility that he stands in a fair way to get drunk again. That is why AA's 12th step urges that we practice these principles in all our affairs. We are not living just to be sober, we are living to learn, to serve and to love. And, you know, as Freud said, or whoever it was, primary things that we like most is to love, be loved, and have something useful to do. And sobriety helps us do that. So, you know, sobriety is not an alibi, quite right too, because we have to face life on life's terms and what has happened, and own up to how we are. So, daily reflections, this one. Yes, I've got enough time. It says hold back nothing, and it's the 5th month, and in the 12-step action program I'm covering the 5th step, which is sharing our assets and liabilities, or confiding them to another human being, and in the process to God or our good conscience, depending on how we look at the world and how we are. So here it says hold back nothing. The real tests of the situation are your willingness, or your own willingness to confide in your full confidence in the one with whom you share your first accurate self-survey. In other words, telling another human being the self-appraisal. Provided you hold back nothing, your sense of relief will mount from minute to minute. The dammed-up emotions of the years break out of their confinement and miraculously vanish as soon as they are exposed. As the pain subsides, a healing tranquility takes its place. Well, it sort of did, nearly. I skipped it a bit. I had to do it again, this 5th step. A tiny kernel of locked-in feelings began to unfold when I first attended AA meetings, and self-knowledge then became a learning task for me. This new self-understanding brought about a change in my responses to life situations. I realized I had the right to make choices in my life, and the inner dictatorship of habit slowly lost its grip, that is drinking. I believe that if I seek God or good conscience, I can find a better way to live, and I ask Him daily to assist me in living a sober life. And the gift of that is when I say, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference I know is just for today. Hello, Don in London, all about recovery and Alcoholics Anonymous. I don't speak for AA, I speak for myself. However, AA is integral to my daily well-being, and here's the AA preamble spoken at all meetings of AA. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is the desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. Good morning, it's May 6th, 2008, Don in London, and the time is 9:20. And I'm a bit late doing this video. It's Tuesday morning. A lot to do with mechanical problems with my computer. Anyway, I think I've overcome most of them. So if there's a lot of background here, I apologise, and if I'm out of sync, I apologise. What an interesting 24 hours. Very nice 24 hours actually. The weather came back to good here in London. And I went to lunch with down to my mother's, and had lunch with my mother and my sister, and I stayed away from the roast lamb, red meat. It doesn't agree with me these days, and had chicken instead, and washed my bike. So, you know, some good things happened during the day. And last night, I didn't go to a meeting of AA. I went to see a Mozart concert at the Cadogan Hall in the best of company, and it was good to chat and talk about ordinary things for a change, which has nothing to do much except with being ourselves, and in good company, the very best of company, I have to say. So a night out, and I don't know when the last one was. It's so long ago I can't even remember. It seems a long time. And to go on an ordinary outing and just enjoy the day, and it was warm enough just to be in short sleeves for a change. So all for the good. And this month, May, in the AA literature, like the Daily Reflections, this book, is all about the fifth step. And the fifth step is expressing and sharing our fearless moral inventory with other people in order that we may find some salvation and get over ourselves, I guess. And the gift is really sharing what's been going on inside us for many years. To the good and the bad, and you know, it's like a balance sheet, assets and liabilities, and the way a balance sheet works best is with truth, openness and honesty. And if you have a balance sheet which is missing some truth, missing some openness, and has a fair amount of dishonesty around some of the big issues which have impacted on your life, then you're not facing up to it, or I wouldn't be facing up to it. And I guess for a long time I didn't understand. This is before AA. I didn't understand the difference between how I wanted things and how really things were. And the gift, I guess, in recovery is to be able to make more of a go of life on a daily basis, and not to speculate or wander too far into the future, or go back into the past and say to ourselves, here we go again, what's going to happen next? Well, we know, don't we? And the answer truly is, if we are open, honest and willing, we don't know the answer unless we try to make it so. And the difficulty is, really, we are very prone to wanting outcomes which we can feel good about. and often which we want to control, because, you know, what human being wants to be out there, out of control? And the simple answer is, we probably are most of the time, we just don't recognise it, because we put our own boundaries around things, and people, places and things, which we just don't break out of because it feels unsafe. And for me, the journey into recovery has been unsafe ground, because, you know, without a drink inside me, and without those fears gnawing at my heels all the time, I'm gradually getting to understand how life is on a daily basis, to live in the present moment rather than live in the past and expectations of how things were then, or in my imagination about the future and how things might be there. Because if I'm projecting forwards, I'm probably using my history to inform what happens next. And if I inform what happens next with "here we go again," I'll get the same answer again. So the absolute of now helps really to understand that it's okay for different outcomes. And as we start to learn different outcomes, we feel a little bit better about ourselves, because we're back on the learning track again. And really the 12 steps of AA are really about learning how to change and be the person that we would like to be. The person we can have, well, we can be our own best company, is probably the best way of describing it. And I'll start with the daily reflections for today. And this book, written by AA people for AA people, goes like this. May 6th. Hold back nothing. The real tests of the situation are your own willingness to confide and your full confidence in the one with whom you share your first accurate self-survey. And that's step 4, the fearless assets and liability sheet. Provided you hold back nothing, your sense of relief will mount from minute to minute. The dammed-up emotion of years break out of their confinement and miraculously vanish as soon as they are exposed. As the pain subsides, a healing tranquility takes its place. And that comes from the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions, page 61 to 62. It goes on to say, a tiny kernel of locked-in feelings began to unfold when I first attended AA meetings, and self-knowledge then became a learning task for me. This new self-understanding brought about a change in my responses to life situations. I realised I had the right to make choices in my life, and the inner dictatorship of habits slowly lost its grip. I believe that if I seek God or good conscience, I can find a better way to live, and I ask Him or my good conscience on a daily basis to assist me in living a sober life. And, you know, the sober life is not... Sober doesn't mean puritanical. What it means is dealing with honesty and openness and willingness on a daily basis. So don't think it's Puritans back in the 16th or 17th century. Think it is, I'm free to make some free choices around my one and only day I have. And the next day I can do the same again. And it's informing ourselves on a daily basis which is so important. As Bill sees it, I'm not doing this in any particular monthly order, or by the step of this month, excuse me. Page 154, relapses in the group. An early fear was that of slips or relapses. At first, nearly every alcoholic we approached began to slip, if indeed he sobered up at all. Others would stay dry 6 months, or maybe a year, and then take a skid. This was always a genuine catastrophe. We would all look at each other and say, who next? Today, though, slips are a very serious difficulty. As a group, we take them in our stride. Fear has evaporated. Alcohol always threatens the individual, but we know that it cannot destroy the common welfare of the group. And it goes on to say, it does not seem to pay to argue with slippers about the proper method of getting dry. After all, why should people who are drinking tell people who are dry how it should be done? And it says in inverted commas, just kid the boys along, ask them if they are having fun. If they are too noisy or troublesome, amiably keep out of their way. And sometimes, you know, we do need to keep out of the way of people who are still back in the grip of drink, because it's a recurring theme. Each day is always the same. More of the same. Mott's Law, it used to be called in some of the places where I worked. More of the same from drink. It's always the same. Always the same outcome if you drink too much. Coming on to 24 hours a day, which I haven't really
delved into recently. I'll just read what it says here. I've noticed that the ones who do most for AA are not in the habit of boasting about it. The danger of building myself up too much is that, if I do, I'm in danger of having a fall. The pattern of thought goes with drinking. If one side of the boat gets too far up out of the water, it's liable to tip over. Building myself up and drinking go together. One leads to the other. So if I'm going to stay sober, I've got to keep small. Have I got the right perspective on myself? And for me, really, that is just being the right size with myself and everyone. Everyone is equal. One size fits all.